back to another edition of the At The Time podcast with me, David Brindle. This week I'm joined by Liverpool fan Paul Jones. Paul, how are you?
I'm good, mate. Good, thank you.
No Paul Crew this week. He's told us to tell you he's got coronavirus. He hasn't really. Paul couldn't make it tonight. I'm sure he'll be back with us, so we send our best wishes to Paul. Coming up in the show, we've got plenty of stuff about Chelsea and Everton. We're going to talk Merseyside derby coming up next week. But we'll start with Atletico Madrid v Liverpool last night. Liverpool knocked out of the Champions League, the reigning Champions League holders knocked out. Paul, over two legs, did Liverpool deserve to go through, or were they hard done by?
I think it's a difficult one because you have to separate both legs.
Yeah.
I think if you looked at the away leg, we probably deserved nothing over there. They got the early goal, sat back on it. You know, they were happy to come over here with a 1-0 win. And then you look at last night, and for 95 minutes, I thought we've dominated the game.
Yeah.
We've kept possession well. We've created chance after chance, but if you don't take your chances, you get punished. And the funny thing was, we went 1-0 up, and you know, you go a bit crazy, and then even on the second one, I couldn't go crazy because I just kept saying in the back of my head, they still only need one goal. Obviously, how the goal come, you know, I think even at 2-0, they were happy to try and carry on as they were for another 15 minutes or so. Adrian will probably never make that mistake again in his life.
I think what got me was about 2 minutes after he made that mistake, he done what he should have done.
Yeah, he took
he
the
received
touch,
the ball and passed it the other way, didn't he? And I think that, you know...
Well, that's the mad thing, because when you look at it, it comes back to him. There's no pressure on him whatsoever. He's got, I think it's James Milner who's dropped in towards the left-back area, and all he's got to do is take a touch, open out and play out to the left-back, and you're away.
Yeah.
And to be honest, Atletico were happy with that.
Yeah, of course.
You know, I'm not going to blame him in terms of overall, because it's a team game, and as I say, we've created, you know, depending on what stats you look at, between 32, 35 chances. And if you're only scored 2 goals off 35 shots, then there's other people not doing the job as well. So, as I say, I thought we dominated the game, but when somebody makes a mistake like that, it sets you back. And it's really, really hard, especially when you've put as much as we did over the 2 legs into, you know, 180 minutes of football, and then you're going into extra time. You're then probably 5-6 minutes into the game, you've gone 2-0 up. So, you know, you're probably talking 190 odd minutes of football overall. When you've put so much into it, it's difficult to then, you know, have a setback and pull yourself up again, knowing that you've got to go and score again.
Yeah. I think it's very difficult to play as... Badly might be a bit of a harsh word, but to play as badly as Liverpool did in Madrid, you cannot expect to go through off one leg. It's just... Madrid played... And we're going to come on to Simeone. Madrid played exactly how they wanted to play over 2 legs, and they got through. They've done their job. And I just think you can't... I think you look back at Atletico Madrid done this to Liverpool in 2010, didn't they? They had the extra 30 minutes for the away goal, and Simeone today has said it's not fair, but they didn't need the away goal anyway, did they? Because they scored another 2 after that. But go on.
I see where Simeone's coming from, and, you know, I do agree with him in a sense that if you go to an away game, why'd you get an extra 30 minutes to score an away goal? So I do agree with what he's saying there. However, you know, we've all known the rules from the outset.
Yeah.
We all know that was a possibility. Yeah. So, and, you know, you can look at it 2 ways. If the forwards finish the chances, or, you know, at least half the chances or a quarter of the chances even, you go nowhere near extra time. And also, once you go into extra time, if the goalkeeper takes a touch, then the away goal, you know, at that time doesn't come. That's not to say it doesn't come later on, because obviously the game's completely different then. But, you know, we all know the rules before the competition starts. That's the way the cookie crumbles, and you've got to deal with it.
Do you put the lack of chances converted down to Liverpool being poor or Atletico Madrid being good?
I think, well, I wouldn't say Atletico Madrid being good, more Oblak being very, very good. I think it's a mixture of both. You know, there was probably out of the 15 or so saves that he made, I'd probably say 7 or 8 were routine saves that I'd expect a goalkeeper to make, but actually 6 or 7 of them you look and go, and you know, there was 2 or 3 down the Kop end in the second half, where I'm thinking, how has that not gone in? Because he's just managed to get his hand in the way, or he's just got his body in the way. Look, that's what goalies are there for, and that's what you pay the big money for. You know, Adrian came in on a free transfer. He's probably played 15 games more than he dreamed he'd be playing.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, he's come in, he couldn't get a club in the summer. He comes in, he wins a Super Cup. You know, he's got a World Club Championship medal. He's played probably 10, 12 league games because Alisson's been injured. Yeah. So, you know, he's played more football than he ever dreamed he would. You know, and this is going to sound terrible, but he is a second goalkeeper for a reason, and I don't mean that as a disrespect. You know, it's very, very difficult to come in and fill Alisson's shoes. You know, likewise, if it was Atletico Madrid last night, trying to fill All Black shoes would be, you know, so difficult. Chance. So it's one of them. He's made the mistake. It's again, we've said this many times. It's how you learn from it that we'll decipher whether it be a successful season or not. And you know, he's got another chance to show on Monday because Alisson's still injured.
That's if the game goes ahead.
Well, that's
we'll come to that in a bit. Just before we move on, Diego Simeone. He's divided me and you. He's divided a lot of people with yesterday. What camp are you in? Simeone's a good manager. Simeone's not a good manager.
Look, Simeone done what he had to do to get through the tie, you know, and I can't take that away from him. I think a lot of his antics on the touchline mask a lot of his inabilities as a tactical, astute manager, let's say. I don't think it's tactically astute to tell your team to play two banks of four and absolutely leather it as far as you can when you're defending. But having said that, it's worked for him. So, you know, a development point for Liverpool is that you've got to turn around and you've got to learn to beat that. You know, you've got to combat that. You know, over the course of a season, you're going to come against 10, 15 different styles of football. That's the beauty of football. It can be so different in every 90 minutes. I mean, I'll use the word I called to you last night. I actually think he's a bit of a fraud, Simeone.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
You know, and that was the word I used to you last night in terms of... what I mean by a fraud is, I think he's a poor man's Mourinho. Okay. You know, Mourinho got away with it for 10 to 12 years. Simeone's been at Atletico now for coming up to 9 years, I think. How long will he get away with it for? You know, if you look over his record, they've done all right in the cup competitions. They've won one title in his early days. I think it was his second or third season. Yeah. Since then, they've been what I would expect Atletico to be, which is second or third best in the country behind Real and Barca. So, has he done anything special? For me, he's just kept the boat ticking. You know, he's kept it ticking over. I wouldn't, put it this way, I wouldn't like to pay to watch that every week.
I can see your point, but I do think you're doing him a disservice. I don't think it's as easy as people think to have a team that good at sitting in, and especially when you're playing someone like Liverpool who are relentless. I don't think it's as easy as that, as just sit in, boys, and get rid of it.
What I will say is, I think over the two ties he's probably done the right thing.
Oh yeah,
because you've got the early goal, you can sit on it.
Yeah,
you can come to Anfield, you can try and soak up the pressure,
which they did for most of the first half as well.
Yeah. Okay, you know, the goals come from a mistake, but it's a goal. It doesn't matter how it's come. They've got the goal that they needed. From that's killed Liverpool, and obviously they've gone and got the second and third goal to absolutely destroy the tie and blow it away. But I think when you've got league titles to win, you know, when you're playing, and I don't mean any disrespect to any of these, when you're playing the likes of maybe Elche, Getafe, teams who you're expecting to go out and attack, they don't go and score goals. You know, they're trying to win games 1-0, 2-0, you know, 2-1 type thing. So, as I say, I wouldn't like to watch that every week, and I could put up with it over the two-leg tie against Liverpool, you know, or if it was the other way around against the champions of Europe or whoever that may be. I wouldn't like to watch it every week.
I don't know, because there's times and there's moments where I look at them and I go, especially when Liverpool scored a little bit the first, more so the second, they started to press and they started to hit on the counter-attack. And that can be exciting, but the way he is, his management style is that he wants to sit back, he wants to defend, and he's built a team that it works for him. And I also think, you say there, you'd expect him to be third best in the country. I don't think they were for a long period of time. They were in the Europa League and things like that before he took over. And I think it wasn't guaranteed that they were going to win a title. And they did, which is a massive achievement when you've got Real Madrid and Barcelona in that league. Nobody else should ever win it, just in terms of revenue.
They are the third most successful club in Spain, though, with 10 titles.
Yeah, I just think when I was growing up, it wasn't Atletico Madrid in the Champions League. It wasn't... I don't even think they were in the UEFA Cup for a long time. I think Valencia were a team that were very big at that time, and they were probably the third best. Benitez was in charge at that time. So I think he has made them a better club for me. And I think, I don't like his antics. I will agree with you on that. I don't like his antics, the way he's up and down the line, and he can't be getting much tactical information across when he's waving his arms and shouting. And I did laugh when he ran on the pitch and the goal got disallowed. That was quite funny.
To be honest, I've actually got no problem with him celebrating goals and things like that, because he is passionate. I've got no problem with passion, but there's a difference between passion and some of the antics more in the home game for Atletico.
It's just like a cheerleader, really.
Yeah, sometimes it was a bit, it reeked the desperation, really, of trying to keep the crowd going and stuff. And again, that's fine. If that's what you've got to do to win a game of football, then fine. I'm all right with that, because I'm one of them, whatever tricks and whatever dirty things and whatever you've got to do to go and win a football game, you go and do it. And if it works, then best of luck to you. It's worked over the two legs. And for me, Liverpool maybe showed a little bit of naivety at times. And some of the comments that were coming out of Liverpool after the first leg were probably a little bit naive as well. Especially at what's effectively half-time in a tie. If you're still well within it, which a 1-0 defeat away from home, you're still well within it. I think sometimes it's better to just say, look, it's half-time, we'll give it all we've got in the second leg. Not, quote, welcome to Anfield, and, they've celebrated like they've won it and all the rest of it. Because for me, all you're doing there is...
You're asking for it, aren't
you? You're doing their team talk for them. And that's fine in terms of, if you think that, not a problem. Keep it to yourself, keep it internal, keep it into your own training sessions. Get yourself wound up for the next game, that's fine, but don't put it out there publicly.
What did you make of Klopp after the match? Quite sour.
Yeah, I mean, he admitted himself he's not the greatest loser, which, again, I'm all right with. Exactly. I don't want somebody who accepts losing, so that's fine. I think it's difficult because I have a sort of rule around coaching and things of a 10-10-10. I think I don't have explained this to you, but you sort of have what you feel like within 10 minutes of the game, which is, all right, roughly translated to within the hour, which is where them interviews come.
Yeah.
And that's the raw emotion of, sometimes you say things that, on reflection, on the next 10, which is 10 hours later, i.e. the next morning, you probably look back and go, why did I say that? The last 10 is 10 days down the line. So again, it's how Liverpool react 10 days down the line. So we've had the 10 minutes where he's not very happy. He's probably questioned Atletico Madrid's tactics. Now, I get why, because he probably thinks, similar to myself, that all teams should get the ball down, play football, but that's not football. There's so many different styles. You get teams like Atletico will sit in, they'll get stuck in, they'll dig in. You'll get teams who'll put it long, go into corners. You'll get teams who'll put it into a big centre forward and flick on. There's so many varying styles. So I get why he was frustrated. Don't forget, that's the first time Klopp's ever lost a two-leg tie with Liverpool. It's been a long time since we've actually been knocked out of Europe, because, for me, getting to a final and losing, you're not knocked out of Europe, you're just a runner-up. So I think, was it Besiktas the last time we got knocked out of Europe?
It was.
Probably about 5-6 years ago. So, there's a lot of raw emotion there at that time. He probably looks back, and he'll probably allude to it in his next interview, where, and he said it himself, that sometimes he says stupid things and we shouldn't listen to him. But obviously, people hang on every word he says. And I think he'll probably look back this morning and go, I might have been a bit far-fetched with certain things that I've said. Having said that, he's disappointed to go out of Europe, as we all are.
Of course he is, but I just thought, you're just making a show of yourself. It just sounds...
It looks like sour grapes, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it's a bit embarrassing, do you know what I mean? Like, as you say, you haven't been knocked out of Europe ever in charge of Liverpool, and now you have, and it's like you're throwing your toys out the pram because you've lost one game. You won it last year, you got to the final the year before. Just accept defeat graciously, and I'm not having all this, Atletico didn't play proper football. What is proper football?
It is proper.
There is no right or wrong way to play it. As much as people don't like the way Tony Pulis and Sam Allardyce used to play for Bolton, who Bolton are, by the way, the last team to knock Atletico Madrid out of European football, an English team anyway. People will look back on them and say, they played bad football. Yeah, but they got results. Yeah. Bolton got into Europe under Allardyce. I know it's a long time ago. Pulis got Stoke up the leagues into the Premier League to a point where they were in Europe.
Well, if you just use those two clubs that you've mentioned, look at where they both are now.
Yeah.
I guarantee you both clubs will look back and go, I wish we still had Allardyce, or I wish we still had Pulis. Now, whether you like it or not, there is a place for it in football.
There is.
That is up to Liverpool to then go and combat it. But that's what makes football
exciting, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you look at La Liga a few years ago, probably before Simeone came in, every team in La Liga played the exact same way, apart from when they played Barcelona and they sat back and tried to do that. But every team played the exact same football, and that was why Spain was so successful in 2008, 2010. But the Premier League's always been exciting because you had teams like Stoke, because you had teams who just, like Arsenal wanted to keep the ball, you had teams on the counter-attack. That's what makes it exciting. There's no proper way to play football. The only proper way to play football is if you come off the pitch and you've won.
At the end of the day, it's a results business.
Yeah, it is.
And you've got to do what you do, what suits your players, what suits your style, to get results. There's another team at the moment booking the trend in Spain, Getafe.
Yeah.
And they play a lot more sort of direct than the Spanish are used to. And they're getting a lot of criticism in Spain because obviously, a lot of the Spanish press and a lot of the Spanish media, like we're talking about now, they want all their teams to play like Barcelona and Real Madrid. They want you to get it down on the floor. They want you to have fast-paced attacking football. And Getafe are going, no, look, we've got big centre forwards. We'll put it direct into forwards, and all right, we're not scoring many goals, but we're winning games.
Yeah.
They're still in Europe. So, I personally won't criticise Simeone for the way he played. I don't particularly like it. I wouldn't like to pay to watch it every week.
Yeah.
But I 100% see why he done it over the two legs. Why should he come to Anfield and allow a team who can open teams up free rein to go and do what they want? You're not going to do it. So
suicidal, that, isn't it?
Exactly.
Asking for it. But I just think over the two legs, I personally thought it was a fair result. I thought, let's go shut Liverpool out. Didn't have a single shot on target in Madrid. And, well, to be honest, even if he did, our Black's that good, he probably would have saved it anyway. But to then come back to Anfield and deal with that pressure as well as they did, and obviously they can see the goal before half-time, and that could have knocked the wind out of them. They played exactly the same in the second half. They stuck at it. They're so well drilled and organised that it makes it virtually impossible to break them down. And you've got to have a bit of something special. Like Wijnaldum was a bit of something special for that second goal. Gets all the way down the right-hand side. That's what it takes to beat them. Yeah, I
think it was 50-50 all the way through, and I can't complain that we've gone out. And the reason I say that, as I say, we mentioned before about celebrating the second goal, and he, the minute it goes in, you have yourself, and then I'm going, but they still only need one. So there's still that doubt in the mind because you knew that they were dangerous on the counter. You knew that they were going to throw the bodies in the way of the ball. So I think it was one of them ties where even when it was drawn out, everybody went, that is a tough tie. Yeah. The thing is now you've got 6 points to go and win the title. You've got to go and try and get them 6 points before coronavirus stops everything or whatever's going to happen. And then you go home, you celebrate and whatever, and then you regroup for next season. You're already back in it next season. How many times have we been at this point in the season where we've been knocked out of a European competition and that season's over?
Yeah.
Or you're struggling for fourth.
Technically the season is over for Liverpool. Technically.
I mean,
the Premier League's pretty much in the bag and there's nothing else they can play for.
I'm one of them. I won't celebrate until it's done.
Come on, Paul.
I won't celebrate until it's done. I've had too long.
No.
We've had a couple of near misses.
I understand that. But if it was 7 or 8 points, fair enough.
I'm one of them. No, you see all the rumours and we're going to sign him. I don't believe it until I see him stood at the scarf above his head.
Leaning.
Pointing at the number 6 or whatever. So that's fine. I'll believe it when I see it. I'm not saying we're not going to win it. Certainly not. But I'll celebrate when it's done.
Okay, fair enough. We'll come to the coronavirus in a little bit when we talk Merseyside derby. We've unfortunately got another defeat to talk about. It wasn't a great week for Everton and Liverpool. Everton went to Chelsea, Stamford Bridge, 4-0 defeat. Do you think that flattered Chelsea a little bit, 4-0?
I mean, the stats would say no, but I think what killed Everton was the 2 quick goals in succession in the second half. you go in 2-0 at half time, you can regroup, you come out, and one of the old cliches is first 15 minutes, don't concede.
Yeah.
You concede within 6 minutes, and then 2-3 minutes later, all of a sudden it's 4, and that's game over. So it's difficult because I think at 2-0 the game's not dead. You can still have a go, but I think Everton only had one shot on target in the whole game. So, when you're already 2-0 down, if you're only having one shot on target, you're not going to win games. And that's the difficulty. It's not been a happy hunting ground for Everton. I don't think they've won this since the mid-90s. I think I heard Paul saying on last week, he mentioned they hadn't
this is the point where you go back and listen to last week's, by the way, if you haven't already.
Said they hadn't won this since the mid-90s. So it's not been a happy hunting ground, but with Ancelotti in charge, it was a fixture that I looked at and thought that Everton possibly could have picked up a result.
Definitely.
But I would say that Chelsea are in form at the moment.
Yeah.
They certainly don't want to give that 4th place up very easily. They're not that far behind Leicester in 3rd. Obviously, they knocked Liverpool out of the FA Cup. They've got a tough task against Bayern Munich in the Champions League whenever that is going to be played. I'd probably say that that's a bridge too far for them, but they've still got the chance of a trophy in the FA Cup. So whilst Everton will be disappointed, if it was me, I'd be looking at the next game and going, it's the perfect game to go and make amends in it, really, isn't it?
It is, yeah, massively. So you can't ask for anything else than change the whole narrative than beating Liverpool at Anfield, which I echo so much we're going to come to. I thought it did flatter Chelsea a little bit. Obviously, we see the stats and Chelsea deserved to win. 4-0 was a little bit sort of... It wasn't a 4-0 game. My memory's quite cloudy of it, I'm not going to lie. But it wasn't a 4-0 game, and Everton weren't that bad. Personally, we were playing a drinking game for this, and we were Everton in the first half, and we played it. And obviously, Chelsea score, you'd have to drink and things like that. Second half comes, we're thinking, it's all right here, Chelsea. We're Everton now, we're Chelsea now, we'll be all right. I knew the lads stopped playing. So we didn't get our comeuppance, but there you go. Ancelotti's going back to Stamford Bridge for the first time. Obviously had a warm embrace with Frank Lampard before the game. Do you think any of his thinking has come into that result? Has he overthought going back to his old ground? Do you think any of that's come into it?
Possibly. I mean, either wanted to go there probably more than anybody else within Everton Football Club and win that game. There's nothing better than going to an old club, and sort of saying, well, look what you could have had. Yeah. I think he was sacked by Chelsea as well.
Far too early, by the way.
It was probably it might have been playing on his mind for him to try and go there and think, you know what, I'm going to show you what you could have had. But on the other hand, I think Lampard would have had Chelsea up for it in terms of, your ex-manager's coming back here, we're on a good run. I'm going to show him that actually, I'm the new kid in town, and they were right to get rid of you type thing, and that. So, it's a possibility. And sometimes that can be a dangerous game because it can cloud your judgments, it can cloud your decisions, you react different because you get angry with yourself. I mean, he's not one to get angry, Ancelotti, but what he feels inside, only he will know. I just think, put it this way, I don't think he'll be dwelling on it too much.
No.
They've had, it'll be 8 days, won't it, till that they will have had between games. So they've had time to get extra prepared for the derby. They've also had a chance to look at Liverpool last night in the game against Atletico. And for me, I would use some of that as a basis. Don't be playing open. Sit back. Let Liverpool have a lot of possession, see what they've got, and see if you can defend it and hit on the break. So they've got 8 days to prepare for that. Yeah,
and I think, as you say before, it's a massive chance to just turn your season around. We spoke a little bit about when Liverpool beat them in the FA Cup, and that's just completely forgotten because of the run they went on. This game's perfect. It's just absolutely perfect for them to come into it. Before we move on to that game, is this the end of Europe for Everton? Is this... I say that because you just look before this run of games where Ancelotti marked it out that this was going to be important for Everton. How many points did he get from it?
I think they lost at Arsenal. lost to Chelsea.
Drew with Man United 1-1.
Yeah, which they should have won, to be
fair. Should have won,
yeah,
but I mean, even the Arsenal game, did they deserve to lose that? They played well there.
No, at least a point. I thought they deserved at least a point.
You've got a point out of 9, and that gap's just starting to drift away a little bit from you. You've got Liverpool next, which, if you take the whole emotion out of it, the Merseyside derby, you'd say, well, Liverpool are the favourites. With it being a Merseyside derby, form goes out the window, I know that. But then, even if they win the Merseyside derby, they've only got 4 points out of 12. Is that a gap? Is that gap too far now to close that, even for the Europa League?
I don't think it is, because even after the derby, there's still 8 games to go. So, 24 points to be won and lost. I think the Champions League probably a little step too far now, but I think it also depends on what happens to Man City, because obviously if Man City are banned from Europe, then there'll be an additional place to come in as well. So I personally wouldn't be thrown in the towel for Europe for Everton. I don't think anybody at Everton Football Club will be thrown in the towel, but one thing I will say about the last couple of games in terms of Man United, Arsenal, Chelsea, and then also no matter what happens in the derby against Liverpool, is, for me, it's a massive learning curve for next season for Everton. If Ancelotti can get the results against the teams you would expect them to, i.e. your Burnleys, your Norwich, potentially your Aston Villas, and then putting in decent performances against Arsenal, against Manchester United, not so great against Chelsea, but again, they've got a chance to put that right against Liverpool. For me, that can be a massive catalyst for next season to build confidence, to go, we can go and nick a point there, or actually we can go and sneak a 1-0. As I say, I thought they deserved 3 points against Man United. I thought they deserved at least a point at Arsenal. So, from an Everton point of view, I'd be looking at that going, okay, whilst results and points aren't on the table at the moment, things are looking positive for moving forward.
I think this season's been a success, regardless of where they finish. They've got a world-class manager in. He's had time to actually put his ideas and give the players a chance to process them live in a game. It's not just a pre-season. He hasn't just come in the summer. And I'm not saying this season's written off completely by this point, but I think the best outcome out of the season anyway was giving him the chance to have a run with the team. And now next season, he's already got 6 months under his belt with the team at the end of this season. By next season, the sky's the limit for Everton. There's no reason why they can't challenge to get into the Champions League.
I have to agree. I think he's more or less had a 6-month free hit.
Yeah.
In terms of come in, get to know your players.
Yeah.
You've got 4 months to tell us who you want and who you don't want. You can have a look at who you need to replace, who you want to keep. And I think things have been done in the background pretty quickly. So we've seen a couple of contracts for Mason Holgate, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, which tells me that he's come in December, Ancelotti, and he's gone, right, get them two tied down because they're young, they're hungry, they're going to be part of the future.
Yeah, they are the future of the club, aren't they? They are.
Yeah, exactly. And then we'll bring in other players to play alongside them. He'll also know who he wants to move on, whether that be loan deal, a couple of loan deals. I mean, I seen one of the papers, rumour mills, the other day was saying that Sidibe wants to make his move permanent. Now I would actually go along and say that I don't see Ancelotti keeping him. I don't think he's done enough to stay at Everton. But you can bet your bottom dollar that Ancelotti will have a list of probably 5 replacements who can come in and fill that void. So as I say, it's pretty much been a 6-month free hit to get ready for next year and for an assault on European football next year. Yeah,
definitely. As I say, I think his reputation allows him that free hit. I don't think anyone would have got that. Duncan Ferguson maybe would have got that. The only thing that concerns me about it is he needs to be in charge of recruitment. Everton have recruited but not badly, like in general, but they've had a few players where you just think...
I think speaking to a lot of my Evertonian friends, they would agree with you that it's been a lot of the signings, a lot of the comments that they give to me are that they're all overpaid, they can't get rid of them because they're on such high wages. That's not Ancelotti, he's not bought any of them. So I agree with you. It's for me, I don't know if he'd took the job if his hands were tied in terms of recruitment.
Yeah.
I think he's got a bit more command than that, and I would say he's probably got a bit more dignity than that as well. So I think he'll probably have given a list of targets within his interview process. That list of targets might have changed over the previous sort of 3 months.
I'd say so.
Might have been added to, might have been cut shorter. Certain other positions might have been added, but I just think that he'll probably have the main say of who he wants. Whether they get them, that's like that's like any club. It doesn't matter what club you are. You'd have a list of targets. You probably have it in preferential order of 5 per, maybe 6, 7 per position. You go for number 1. There's agents involved, there's money involved, there's sponsorships involved, there's all sorts involved. So it's not as quite simple as going, I want him and he's coming. So whether he gets him as his main targets is another matter. But I personally think he'll have a big say in who comes into Everton Football Club over the summer.
I think if he has, I think Everton will be okay. I just worry that, as you say, the recruitment, for me, they've been buying attacking midfielders since Davy Clarkson. They just keep buying attacking midfielders, and it's like, move on. You've got 2 brilliant forwards in Richarlison, Dominic Calvert-Lewin. You build your squad around them. Holgate, Andre Gomez. You build your team around those players, and then you build around that. And Sidibe at right back, he's probably not gonna be an Everton player come the summer. I don't see what's wrong with Seamus Coleman, if I'm honest. I really like Seamus Coleman. I think he's a great footballer, but I just hope Ancelotti's got the say to say, right, I want this and I want that, and it's up to you to get me it. No, Marcel Brands, this is what I want. Don't you just buy anything and say, this is what I've got. Yeah, this is what I want. I just hope that's how it works. And
I think the money will be there as well in the summer. I don't think he'd have took the job if there wasn't going to be money there.
I don't even think they necessarily need a lot of money. I think that's Everton's problem. They've gone from being so good in the transfer market with relatively little money to now having all this money and just going mental with it. Like, take it easy and pick the right player.
Oh yeah, it's we've said all along, no matter what club, it's not what you spend, it's how you spend it. Seamus Coleman is a prime example, £60,000. Exactly. Tim Cahill is another one who you pluck out of the lower leagues and is absolutely outstanding. I don't think they paid much for Arteta, who was outstanding. You can go over so many players over the years and go, great astute signing. So, as you say, it's one of them. It doesn't mean go out and splash 40 million on him, 50 million on him, 30 million on him. You might find a diamond for 5-6 million. It's just how you spend it.
It is, and I just hope that, as I say, Ancelotti is allowed to do that.